Disclaimer, I do not dislike CinemaSins, and that is not a lie. For my next Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video, I'm going to be seeing their video on Moana 2. Enjoy, everyone.
2 seconds of logo.
But considering that these two logos have appeared in multiple Disney films, I feel like you should be used to the logo length at this point, Jeremy.
Just an easy little hop.
Killing your friend.
But Puah doesn't die here, so...
Hey, you wanted to come this time.
Cool, but stay with me here. How did he tell you that?
I'd assume Puah was behaving in a way that let Moana know that he wanted to come with her on her voyage.
Just a little...
Holy this is more dangerous than the stunt Tom Cruise tried to pull in Mission Impossible 2. Except I'm supposed to believe Moana is an actual person.
But since Moana was shown to be mountain climbing in the first movie, I'm sure she knows now when she could safely make a jump like that.
There's gotta be other people out here. Other villages.
There does not. The universe is not at the whim of your hopes and dreams.
At this point of the movie, yes, there aren't people connected due to Nala's curse, but that changes at the end, thus invalidating your statement there.
The movie will make Moana a superhero demigod by the end, but I dare say she already is some sort of superhuman, since she can survive falls from great heights and not even in her skirt a little.
But in this case, the vines helped her survive, like you showed here.
Also, if she needed the vines to catch her, how did the pig survive?
Good point, but you mentioning the vines should have made you realize that you should have revised the previous sin.
In Moana, Disney crafted a beautiful adventure establishing Moana as the wayfinder of her people, all so that her next adventure can be jump-started by the comic relief chicken.
Not entirely, since the goals of her journey in the first movie were to both have her people be wayfinders again and to restore Te Fiti's heart.
Moana is barely touching the mast with her hand and somehow clinging to it like a fly. This means her powers now include sticky feet, and let's check Disney's website. Ah yes, and not having a boyfriend.
Arbitrary movie reference, since I think he's referencing Spider-Man.
This new storyteller guy gathers the children around to tell them about Moana, as if he knows there's a small percentage of people in the theater, tribe, that wouldn't have seen the first movie, known about the celebrity living in their own village.
Well, this movie takes place 3 years after the first one, so it makes sense for Moni to do this with kids that don't already know Moana's story.
That is not how ships work, which means the ocean is helping Moana cheat in the race with her father.
Taking an animated fantasy movie at face value, cliche.
Fruit! You're gonna love it.
I don't love anything.
CinemaSins.
Jeremy Sins' channel.
There are other people out there.
It means there were other people out there.
True, but similar to what I said earlier, the movie does show that there still are other people out there after Moana breaks Nala's curse. So...
I just have to figure out how to find those stars.
Moana has a knack for saying exactly what she has to do despite not knowing much of anything about the situation at all.
yeah, since that's an example of having an idea of something and trying to figure out how to learn more about it later on.
Also, how do you know those are stars? To me, that looks like a volcano erupting, or a fish vomiting. This kind of blind certainty is how you get lost at sea.
Because when you look closely at it, you can see that they are stars.
Disney couldn't let the littlest audience members feel disconnected from the aging Moana, so we have a tiny one to go along with the original.
Sitting a moment between Moana and Simea, which to me is one of the best things about this movie. That's worth a few extra.
You said you'd bring me a present.
Huh. Well, let me see.
Character pulling something out of an interdimensional pocket cliche.
Questioning hammer space in an animated movie cliche.
I am Moana Motunui. You'll board my boat and restore the heart of Te Fiti.
Trying to make it previously on adorable.
I honestly wouldn't view this bit as sin-worthy because I saw it as a good example of staying consistent with the first movie. And I say that because to me there were a couple of sequels from 2024 that did not feel entirely consistent with their predecessors. And if you guys are curious, there are mainly 6 sequels I can think of, and this is my ranking of them from most consistent to least consistent.
Oh, thank goodness we cut away. There was a whole second there where I was in very real danger of enjoying myself.
So, sinning something you like?
Hey, I remember this scene. Isn't this when the humans crack open the whale's skull to get the immortality?
Chit chat. In this chitty chat chat. In this chat.
An ancient island connecting the people of the entire sea until it was lost. Cursed.
So Atlantis? We're doing Atlantis again?
Not exactly, since Motu-Fetu sunk because of Nala wanting power over mortals, whereas Atlantis is said to have sunk for reasons that can be seen here.
Fire in the sky.
That looks nothing like fire. That is a bland rainbow in the sky at best.
Sure, it's not literal fire, but it's intended to be a comet.
Grandma.
Huggable ghosts.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Also, I'm pretty sure this discount Moses is how fish get separated from their families. So thanks, Moana 2, for finding Dory.
Arbitrary movie references.
Together, we take our freedom!
Braveheart references carbon dated to 1995. You know, for 2024 kids.
Probably more so one of those references for the adults rather than the kids.
I don't do sing-alongs!
Me too, my friend. Have one of these. Skip.
Sending something you like.
Empress Almighty Moon is a clear sign that Moana never woke up from that lightning strike earlier and is currently in a fever coma.
Arbitrary movie reference.
It's Motofit too! We found it!
Premature motivitubration.
Well, since the Kakamora boat isn't very visible in the fog, it's understandable for Moni to make a wrong assumption here.
You guys! Cargo hold!
I agree. Everyone on the boat is f***ing useless and needs to stay out of Moana's way while she manages to steer away from danger. However, the movie robs us of the 3 minutes it would take to perfectly pack her companions in the cargo hold while they remain in a stupor.
Those would just be extra scenes that wouldn't need to be shown.
Haha, f*** you, physics.
Sitting cartoon physics again.
Dave's chick flagana?
Nope, because we've known Hey Hey since the first movie, and you're literally showing him peck the rope that exposes the sail. So this isn't a solution that comes out of nowhere.
This entire coconut presentation is some reality-breaking nonsense. First, I thought maybe they have someone behind the board painting the next scene on the back of each coconut in real time while the story is being told. But the movie fucks itself by showing faces when they spin, meaning we are always seeing the same side, which means the new scene is being painted as the coconuts are spinning, and frankly, I do not believe that is happening.
Well, it doesn't really matter what you believe, since it's what's happening.
This guy needs to scream because the chicken screaming just wasn't enough.
But it could be for another attempted comedy, which can work for some, but not others.
Kakamora, you did this! Made an assumption there.
To be fair, you made an assumption based on an animator deciding to make this thing sleep in a way that makes its eyeball look exactly like a coconut.
Or maybe it's just the eyelids of the eyeball that look like a coconut.
Why would I listen to anything you say?
I want you to beat Nalo, because then I'll be free.
Everything about this lady screams Ursula from The Little Mermaid, but Moana trusts her anyway, and everything turns out fine. Turns out she is one of the good guys and is being completely straight with this bargain. It's actually quite dull. I miss Ursula.
So, not Ursula then.
I've never been more confused by the anatomy of a clam.
But you don't need to be, since this isn't a real clam anyway.
And Mr. Coconut Oil.
Who's Mr.
He's the guy who's been waiting in the shadows for this perfect introduction.
Pointing things out on the screen.
So unless I break the curse, you just bought a one-way ticket to Deadsville.
I'm sorry, I stopped listening after unless I break the curse because obviously that's what you're going to do rather than anyone dying.
Yeah, but he's saying that because Moana didn't already know about Motofetu being underwater and in a monster storm, hence his statement.
The ancestors wouldn't have called if we couldn't do this.
Unless it was a butt dial. That'll make sense in 2,000 years.
If he knows about telephones, then doesn't he also know how this ends? Can't he prevent the bad from happening? Can't he make 2021's Death on the Nile not happen?
Firstly, it's just a joke, and secondly, since Maui believes that Moana and the others will die, no, he doesn't know how this is going to end overall.
No one likes sucking at their job.
Why are you even here?
Jeremy Sins' channel again.
I just heard the lyric, "Come on, Moana, can I get a chi-hu?" And I don't need to wait until the credits to know that Lin-Manuel is no longer in the building.
Okay, I agree that the songs in this movie aren't as good as the ones from the first movie, but this to me was the best song in this movie and was a good way of showing Maui's character growth and how much he cares about Moana. So I feel like it should have at least gotten a send-off for that.
I think that it's Doomsday. To me, it's just Tuesday.
Street Fighter? You're gonna steal song lyrics from Street Fighter now? Okay, it's the best line in Street Fighter, but still. Fucking Street Fighter?
So, since you said that that's the best line from Street Fighter, does this then count as you singing something you like?
I did the decorations.
Family bumper stickers.
Pointing things out on the screen again.
We sail to the heart of Nalo's storm.
How does Mini-Me Maui work? Right now, he's in on the plan and showcasing a tattoo telling as if he knows what Maui is thinking as Maui narrates. But earlier, when Maui pretended to not need Moana, he seemed offended on her behalf as if he wasn't in on the joke, despite being part of Maui's body and connected to his brain.
For the first part of the sin, Mini Maui is showing the others what they'll need to do in order to break Nala's curse. As for the second part, while Mini Maui is connected to Maui's body, he is still a separate entity since he tries to get Maui to do different things.
Hey, murdering this innocent fish.
From the fish's face, it looks more like a massage through pecking.
It's a storm. Just a really big one.
I don't know why she's so worried. She spent that whole Chi-Hu montage learning how to wave hop through a tropical storm and dodge lightning. Based on that, she doesn't even need a boat.
But that wasn't actually real, since all that disappeared when the song ended, and it cut back to Moana and Maui being on the island.
Now I kind of miss the lava monster.
Me too. I mean, at least I understood the lava monster, and when the reveal about the lava monster came to life on screen, it was beautiful storytelling. This movie has barely explained anything about this new foe. We basically heard, "Bad God, no like Bat Lady and people."
But it was explained in the movie that Nalo set the curse because he believed he'd be stronger by separating the people of the ocean. So...
The sun seems to have already gone down, and the nighttime scary eels haven't appeared.
Actually, it's still daytime, as evidenced by this later scene.
The movie decides to strike Moana with lightning twice, so that kids everywhere can argue with their parents when their elder says lightning can't strike the same place twice, as if we need another reason to think that kids are a bunch of assholes.
But it is true that lightning can strike in the same place twice, and it's actually a common misconception that that doesn't actually happen.
You can't.
Of course you can't. This is Disney. Disney only kills parents.
Actually, it isn't just parents that die in Disney movies, and for an example, Tadashi died in Big Hero 6, and he was Hiro's older brother.
I think the lesson for the children is pretty clear on this one. If you really want to make a difference, you risk it all and jump into the deep end and die, because magical people will save you and unlock your godlike magic. Get lost, get risky, get Disney+.
Nah, the messages are more so embracing tradition and change, being a good leader, and finding new ways to get where you need to go.
Glad we were given all of 3 minutes to contemplate whether Maui losing his tattoos was something to give a shit about.
But it was, since him losing his tattoos was him losing his demigod powers, so probably a good time to give up my award here.
Does this mean?
That you're a demigod now and completely unrelatable to your audience in basically every form? Yes.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Present for you. Straight from Motu Fetu.
For all she knows, Motu Fetu is the demigod's ass cheek from where this rock has magically appeared.
Actually, Sumaya knows that Motu Fetu was the island where Moana would be going, since she earlier attempted to go with Moana on her journey.
What's it do?
Creative ways of saying nothing, kid. It's a rock with a hole in it.
Nah, it's more so him saying it helps you see that your sister's coming.
I paid my debt. We are finished.
No, we're just getting started.
The box office for Moana 2 was off the charts, which means Discount Thanos is right, and Moana 3 is no doubt on the way. Can't help but be reminded of the following quote from Captain Picard.
It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose.
That, but the exact opposite. This movie makes all the mistakes and still manages to fucking win.
It did make a few mistakes, but I'd overall say that it wasn't too many. And sure, I'll likely get disagreements with that statement, but we can all have our own beliefs and respect different ones regardless. And here's the end result, everybody. This in total is 253, and the sentence will be no Chi-Hu. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a nice day.